Hola and welcome back to the live podcast. I'm so excited to welcome our next guest, a true change maker in our community who has recently retired, Daisy Rivera Algarin. Daisy recently retired as the manager of special projects for the City of Rochester, where she dedicated her career to serving our neighborhoods. She was a key part of La Marqueta revitalization team and during the pandemic led a critical program that delivered over 127,000 meals to seniors. Beyond her incredible city career, Daisy is a true powerhouse. She is a co-founder of Latinas Unidas, an organization dedicated to empowering Latinas, and also the co-founder of Latina Women Scholarship Fund. It's no surprise, she's been recognized as a New York State Senate Woman of Distinction and was featured in Rochester's Museum and Science Center's Changemakers exhibit. She is truly an inspiration, and I'm so excited to hear her perspective on this new chapter. Daisy, it's an honor to have you on the live podcast. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Wanda. I'm really happy to see and hear that there is a space for folks like me in this season of my life. So I was really excited when you invited me to share whatever I could share regarding this new chapter season in my life. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you, agreeing to be on the show and speaking about something so intimate. So let's just dive right in. So after a long and distinguished career shaping our community, which we are so thankful for, what was the biggest surprise for you about your own wellness needs after you recently retired?
I was surprised that I was working on 3 to 4 hours of sleep versus what I really needed. And someone had advised me of that about a year ago. I had coffee with someone who just retired from the newspaper. And she shared with me, she said, Daisy, you're going to be surprised how much you're going to need sleep. I've been sleeping, she told me, about, 6 to 8 hours. I'm like, what? That's way too much. She goes, no. And she was right. I recently come to find out that I do need to have my 6 hours at least. Sometimes on the weekends, I might go a little longer. And the other piece was just exercise. You're sitting behind a desk for so long that you forget to get up at least every hour, go take a walk, change the visual scene, take a deep breath, practice breathing exercises. And that's one thing that I've become more familiar with is breathing exercises and the importance of getting up every hour. And sometimes I'm here in my home office doing 3 hours of back-to-back meetings and I forget, wait a minute, I need to get up. I need to get up and do something.
Like, how do you invest your time in your well-being, your collective well-being?
So I'm not going back to that. I call it a hamster wheel, getting off, getting on. And I was surprised that I started thinking like that. And part of it is because I started to see, friends and family members my age and unfortunately some colleagues who had just retired and they had been diagnosed with horrible chronic diseases. And one in particular really hit me hard. The gentleman retired on Wednesday and he was dead on Saturday. I was shocked. And it was a heart attack. Yeah. He was so excited about retiring and the plans that he had, and I was so happy for him. And he intentionally waited 6 more months. And my son called me and said, Ma, and the whole department was rocked.
Wow.
We can't believe it. And he was my age. And I said, no, I can't prescribe to that anymore. So I've been very intentional about what I say yes to. And if I can say a yes with, maybe I'll come back to you 6 months. It's not a no. I'm really proud of myself that I'm managing my decisions a lot better instead of reacting.
So let's talk about that idea of purpose, right? And how you navigate finding or redefining your sense of purpose. And I know you mentioned that there's times where you have to say no, and I'll come back to it in 6 months and see if I could support, your initiative. But how do you redefine your purpose outside of serving others? Like, how do you get back to serving yourself after spending your entire life serving others?
Well, one thing I did do, which is pretty drastic and kind of unconventional, I removed myself from traditional advice of medical practitioners, and I moved over to what people call, natural medicine. I call it, more homeotherapy. And I began to invest out of my own pocket because my insurance company would not cover practices. Like for women, I removed myself from mammograms and I went to thermograms.
Oh.
And I've said to some women, think about the radiation amount that's coming into your body through a traditional mammogram. And I'm not putting mammograms down because I know they've uncovered a life-saving diagnosis for people. But at my age, I never had a negative concern with my mammogram. And I felt that I was really at a low risk. So I sought the advice of a service locally here, a woman who provides that service. And for the last 3 years, that's what I've been doing. If she's concerned about what she sees in a thermogram, which is associated with heat, then I move on to an ultrasound.
Wow.
Just to make sure that, whatever she's concerned about is addressed. But, thank God, so far it's gone really well. And the other piece was I still keep my medical doctor, but I also moved into a natural doctor. I've actually referred to her like 4 women who wanted to pursue, that kind of advice and practice. And I stopped taking, I was put on, while I was at City Hall, a couple of really strong medications. And I was afraid of what they were going to do to my body long term because I saw what it did to my mom. So I decided to pursue her advice, and I'm off those medicines. I'm taking a lot of supplements that are very important to my body, particularly as you age. There's certain vitamins that you need more of, and I didn't know how to get them. I didn't know the quality that I needed. So I just started to very intentionally make decisions for my health that I wanted to, take care of. I've suffered COVID twice, and I didn't realize the after effect of COVID on your body.
Yeah.
That I kept saying I had this little, scratchy throat. I used to call it frog throat in the morning, and come to find out that COVID had left a bacteria in me, and I needed to address it. So, having done that, I've also, been very intentional about what I pour into my spirit and my head. I'm careful of what I watch. I can only watch the news once a day. I can't watch it anymore. I can't watch, what can I call it? Kids call it drama, chaos. I can't do it. And because it does affect me. Once that image comes in my head of whatever it is that I saw negative, it kind of almost sets the tone for my day, and I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I've been really intentional about what is poured into me physically and mentally, and most important to me, spiritually. So.
Wow. And you said so much, and I'm just kind of like, wow. I first of all, thank you for being transparent about your medical decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that everyone has an opportunity to really invest in their health, right? And
Yes.
understanding their own health, where they are, what are their baselines, and where they need to be. I think that that's really important. And alternative medicine is also a resource, right? And so that's what you're talking about. And we don't necessarily think of it in that way. And I also think that alternative medicine has gotten a bad rap.
I agree.
And so I thank you for talking about really kind of looking into it and understanding how it benefits you individually and what are the maybe supplements you may need and how you could get that support. So you have a new sense of purpose. Is what I'm hearing from you. And Daisy, we've known each other for a really long time, and I'm feeling that you have a sense of alignment.
Yeah,
right now.
I do. Had the privilege of having my dad, who's 92 years old, who does not suffer from any chronic illness. His father died. Yeah, none.
That's amazing.
And his father died at 96, and I believe he would have made it to 100 if we had not approved for him to leave his home in Rochester, where he used to walk every day and walk around, to living in nothing but New York City. But at that age, it was difficult for him to walk around in New York City. He didn't last 2 years because it took away his social circle, his spiritual circle, and his sense of kind of being needed. Like, I'm going to get up today, I'm going to cook. He used to cook. He was 96.
Wow.
And he never saw a hospital, traditional hospital. And I'll tell you one story. He used to live with us in New York City. When my brother was about 5 years old, as we say in Español, he was travieso. He was something else, my 5-year-old brother. And a piece of mattress fell on his head, and it cut a pretty deep, cut in his skull. And my mother panicked, oh, the hospital, got to take him. And my grandpa, in his really confident, quiet self, said, give me the boy. And he took my brother to the kitchen and he made this paste of garlic and something else that he found in the kitchen. And he made this paste, he placed it into my brother's head. And to this day, he didn't need a stitch, and my brother has no scar.
Oh my goodness.
He was a very proud Puerto Rican. He was very proud to always tell me stories that his grandmother was a Taína. He was born in 1898. Wow. So his grandmother, he remembered
in Puerto Rico?
In Puerto Rico.
Oh, puro taíno.
Puro taíno. And he always told me stories about his grandmother, who used to give him all these things from the earth. And that's how he learned how to take care of himself. He was never overweight. He didn't know what that was, high blood pressure. He cooked his own meal. It was always a meal of grains, cassava, and then sometimes he would eat some meat. Because he felt the meat that we were raising in this country was not quality he grew up with in Puerto Rico. He was really picky. And I said, that's my life. That's my blood. That's what was passed on to me. And if it worked for them, it's definitely going to work for me.
Right. Wow. That's amazing. How did people before modern medicine, right, was invented, how did they survive? I mean, so there definitely are opportunities and benefits to alternative, medicine.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that. And Daisy, I want you to live till you're 150,000 years old. So let me know how that's working out for you. You look great, though. You look great. So it's amazing how shifting your focus, right, can be so fulfilling. And I'm feeling your energy and your essence and your happiness, that you feel content.
I do. Someone said to me the other day they had seen me since I had left City Hall. And again, I'm not trying to portray anything negative on City Hall. I love City Hall. I love the work that comes out of that building and how it helps our community. But it is government. And it is, many times reactionary types of work that you have to do. So there's a lot of deadlines and needs that you have to make sure you meet them by a certain time, and budget constraints, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's the piece that I wasn't made for. I mean, I did it, and I hope I did it well. But when I removed myself from that constraint of, I got a deadline, the budget, I got to do this council item. When it all left me, it's like, oh, I only got 2 emails. I don't have 100.
Breathe.
Yeah.
I have time for myself. Wow, what a thing, right?
Yeah.
So let's touch on a topic that can be stressful for men, and that's financial wellness.
Yes.
Without getting too personal, how has your relationship with money and budgeting changed since retirement? And what's one tip you have for managing it without constant worry?
My one word is plan. I tell that to my boys, to my daughter. Before you know it, the time has come for you to rely on what you've set aside. Rely on, what does the government have set aside for me? If it's still around for, we'll see. But also look at your employers, what resources they offer in planning retirement. Some have great 401s, some have great pensions. I was very fortunate and blessed to be able to work for a government that did provide a pension. Mm-hmm. And that was one of my biggest concerns. So being able to participate in a pension plan and to contribute myself also, that was a big part in me deciding, can I fully retire? Now, the better you plan, the better is the resource that's set aside for you when comes time to draw your monthly budget needs. For me, I was really fortunate to have been able to participate, like I said, in that plan. Moving forward, now I have the ability, if I'm offered an opportunity that comes with monetary compensation, then I can say, I can do it as a consultant. And I can, take on a small project for a compensation fee that, I'm comfortable with. But that basically becomes like the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
I don't need it, but at the same time, I value my contributions to whatever it is I'm going to consult you with. So, it works for me.
Yeah.
So
Lots to plan and be
there is.
be
Yeah.
proactive.
Yeah, it's a different time. I watch my dad, who is dependent now on Social Security and a very small pension from being a minister. And thankfully, he made some wise investments in real estate. So that has helped a lot. But if he hadn't, I know one of us would be taking him in because I'm not going to let it happen to my dad. But imagine those who don't have family.
Right.
It breaks my heart how they have to live.
Yeah. Yeah. So that takes me to my last question. If there's something that you could tell someone who's about to retire that you wish you knew before you retired, what would it be?
Uh, for me, I learned this about 10 years ago when I was working on a project in the city, and that is we do these succession plans for businesses. We help them plan, the what if. You plan to pass this on to your child or to your partner. We need to do personal succession plans. And I'm finding myself, even though we don't want to talk about it, some people call it a will, people call it, assigning trustees. I want to be able to rest that my children or my grandchildren are benefiting from whatever success I had. So for me, I want to make sure that they don't learn the hard way, but learn from advice, which was hard for me to do because my father was always giving me good advice, but I had to feel the pain myself.
Right.
Yeah. So I was like, I want to make sure that you do plan out that when if you have a business, for example, that recently I heard of a business owner who died and he was in his 80s. And I remember sitting down with him 10 years ago and say, do you have a succession plan so that it could be your family, it could be, an opportunity for you to sell off part of that for an investment. And unfortunately, didn't take advice, and now the business closed after 50 years.
Wow.
What a loss. What a loss. You don't work that hard to say, gotta close it. That breaks my heart. And the same can happen to, family legacies.
Right.
With my own children, I try to make sure that they understand they were born into a family, Rivera Algarin, that has certain values and that they understand how important those values are to pass on to their children. And, I recently read a book about legacy, and it was faith-based, but legacy to your grandchildren. And I have so many fond memories of my grandmother. Little things, nothing where she sat down with me, gave me lessons, but little things where she took me with her shopping in New York City. And she would point out to me, it was funny, that the best and the favorite hand lotion was Jergens. Jergens. Gotta have Jergens. And today I cannot smell Jergens without floods of memories of my grandma and my grandpa, who always had a pocket full of candy. And I would see him and we call him Papa. And I said, Papa, bendición. And he said, check. And we pull out a handful of, in New York City, I don't know if they still make them. They're called squirrel nut, which is a caramel candy with nuts in it, my favorite. And he always had candy in his pocket. And he always would tell me stories about taínos that, to me, they came out of his mouth. He lived it.
Yeah.
So we need to pass on that legacy to your offspring. If you don't have any grandchildren, there are many children that can benefit from, whether it's in a school reading program or at your faith, community, pass it on. And these young people today need to hear from us, not from a device. And one of the reasons why I love going to Latinas Unidas rallies, because to watch these girls be inspired and to be around their peers. I've been able to take my daughter, now my granddaughter, to the rally, and to see how the energy from each other, and they inspire each other. And we try to help them understand that, keep it up, depend on each other. Don't depend on what other people advising you to do or that you don't want to do. Think about who you are. And most recently, we've had to, work with girls who don't have that special adult in their life. Right. We are going to be the adults. and think about how can we influence these girls to, have reach that potential that they were God given. They all have that potential.
Wow. Daisy, thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom with us today.
Thank you for reaching out. I really appreciate it. And I'm so excited for you doing this Life Peace podcast. Like you said, I've known you for years, and I'm excited because I think that you are working in a space where I think women in my generation, some of yours, that we need to be able to just pass it on. Absolutely. And share our thoughts with others. And no one has a perfect formula, but I think we all have enough that we can gather and just learn from each other and be a blessing to those around us.
Absolutely. And you've been a mentor and an inspiration to me. I've learned from you and seeing how you have given so much to our community. And there have been times, Daisy, when you have given me the look, and I know exactly what that look means, right? But that is why I love you so much, because you are authentic and you empower us, but you also hold us accountable.
Thank you.
That accountability is something that we all need, and something that we should thrive for, something that we should want, right? I feel like when you give me the look, that means you love me. That means you listening and you want to make sure that I'm okay. And so I want others to know, when you get the look, right? When you get the look from someone, it's because they're trying to tell you something, because they care for you and they're trying to warn you, like, hey, you may want to handle that differently. So
that is so funny. It's so funny you say that. My daughter says, uh-oh. And then she'll try to warn my husband, did you see the look mom just gave you? You need to step back.
That's right. Hey, read the room, right? Awareness of others is a leadership skill for sure. Well, thank you so much. This has been a great conversation, and I know that our listeners are benefiting from your wisdom today.
Thank you, Wanda. Have a great day.
You too, Daisy. Take care.
Take care.